Hello everyone, welcome back to part 7 of the web development in Python with Django. In this part I will guide us how to handle user accounts, including registering, logging in and logging out. This tutorial will be a little shorter than the previous one, but keep in mind that shorter doesn't mean easier. To get started, we need some way to create a users, as you know. We already know that we can manually create users on the admin page or use the manage.py script, but we probably don't want to do this for every site user. Django already has a user model, which might be enough for you to use the default user model. However, remember that we wrote our custom user model, so it won't work. In this section, I will show you how to solve this problem. If we go to our admin panel and click on users while creating a new user, you might see that there are a lot of fields that are required. But you already know that you can manage these fields with a custom user model created. So when creating a new page, we need to remember that we need to create an MVC, which stands for Model, View and Controller, most of the time, that we already spoke about in the previous tutorials. So because registration is highly dependent on the users, we'll create everything on that app. Let's go to the users template and create one with a registration HTML and paste the following code that I will add to my GitHub page, and of course I'll leave a link to GitHub on my text version tutorial. Alright, some basics. I'm not going deep into HTML thing, but let's talk about Django stuff. The form tag that is here indicates that there will be a form, and the method means that a post request will be generated, meaning that the data will be provided for this template rather than a get request, when specific data is expected to be returned. Next, we have unique token that aims at combining cross-site request forgery, which you can learn about on official Django documentation. I'm not going to talk about this, but this is some kind of security stuff in this Django page. Next, we have a simple form variable, which you should be able to guess will be passed as context into this template. And finally, we have a bit of text if the user misclicked to sign up and needs to log in instead. Great, we have our template prepared. Now we need to code the view that could render it. But to do that, first we need to our registration form. So let's head to Django projects users, and here let's create a form that we'll call form.py. And inside of this file, we need to create a user registration form. So I am creating user registration form, and I'll inherit from user creation form. That's a default object of Django. So let's import some stuff here from Django import forms. Next we go with from Django also import now it will be from Django contrib dot authentication and forms import user creation form, like that. And next line, I'm creating from Django contrib, I'll copy this, it will be quicker, of import get user model. If we were using the default user model, we could use user creation form by default, but now we need to create a function that inherits everything from it. Also, we must use get user model to get our model. The reason is the same, we are using a custom user model, so from now get used to it. Okay, let's move on with our object, and here I'll create an email field, and it will be forms email field. And inside there will be a help text that will tell a valid email address, please. And that's it. Yeah. And here is required as true. This means that email must be provided. Next, I'm creating a class meta that we already talked about in previous tutorials, and this will be equal to get user model. We need to get what is the user to our form, and here will be the shown fields, and here will be a simply first name, next will be last name, one more will be simply username, email, what else, okay, it will be a password and retype password as 2. That's it. And now we need to create another additional function that would be used for saving our form. So define a save function, and here commit equals to true. There is only one space, I hope. Yep, that's cool. And here will be a user is equal to supper user registration form, and here is a cell, and we save it without a commit. So sorry, here is a missing p. That's right, fine. And here user email will be equal to self.cleanData email. That's some kind of customization of our user registration to use an email. And now if commit, we call our user save. This means we are saving this user on our database and return a user back to whatever is using the form. That's it for this forms.py. Great, now we have our form ready. Now we can finally build our register function in the view.py. So let's go to our view. Here I'll need a little more than we have now. So I'm starting to write. Here we are redirect, and here is from Django. Contrib from Django contrib, authentication, import get user model, and we're also going to need a login, as I said, because we are using the login, and we need to import our form. So from forms import user. Okay, I need to rename it. It's not form, it's forms. Cool. And from forms import user creation form. That's it. That's cool. And now we need to create our register function that will have a request here, as most of the functions in Django. And let's go with a if request is authenticated. Okay, it's missing user is auth. So first thing, when we come to our register page, we check if a user is logged in or not, because it's obvious that it shouldn't be allowed for a registered and logged in person to create an account. So that's what this line does. So in this case, we are calling redirect to the home page if it's already logged in. Next, we should check if the request made to this page has been a post, submitted registration result, or a get, trying to get form where to write our registration details. So I'm typing if request dot method is equal to post. Most of the time, first we get a get form, and we submit that form with a post. After that, we try to map the submitted form to our created user registration form and check if the form was filled correctly and valid. So if the form is valid, we save this new user object, which is the part of the form. So we save the form. So let's code all of this. Here we need to get a form. So user registration form as we created will be used here. User creation form is not necessary. I don't know why it's here, but the user registration, let's check. Oh, it's wrong. It should be start with a capital. That's my mistake. And I go back here, and here we feed our requests post to this form. Now we need to check if the form is valid, and if the form is valid, we get a user from this form. This is saving the user to database, but in general, it's nice if the user just registered to also log them in. So they don't need to retype things one more time again. We are using Django login function, which we grab from Django cron trip authentication, which also gives us the use of logout and authenticate functionalities, all of which will be needed later. So I'm here simply writing a login and request, and also feed our user. Yeah, that's my mistake. Now we want to send the user to the home page, so we return redirect it back to the home page. While we could run the home page, we also need to change the URL, and since we want to send them back to the home page, we want to redirect them from here. So that's why we call this redirect, which of course we import from Django shortcuts. In some cases the form won't be valid for whatever reason, so we handle that with else logic. And for now we are printing the error for simplicity reasons. So sometimes there might be more than one error, so we need to print many of them. So form error in list form errors values, we print request.error. And you might ask, how I do know what to type here? Usually I already investigated all this stuff before while running my code in a debug mode, and so I was able to access all these variables that I'm right now printing for you. So if you don't know what are the possibilities inside of this form, you just need to run all your code in a debug mode, and you come to this, you can check whatever it gives us back. Okay, now I need another form here that when it's not a post request type, we need to return a user registration form as empty. So this means that when new person comes to the page, it goes to register, it gets an empty form that we fill in, and when it fills the data inside and clicks to send this, we come to the post and we do the validation check and so on. Now the last step is to return a rendered registration form. So here will be a simply request. Template name will be register HTML that we already created, and the context to this form will be simply a form. That's it. I believe that's it. And this should be completed view. And now we prepared our template, views and form. We are close to running it, but there are still a few more steps to do. We need to have a register page controller. In simple terms, we need to an URL for this page. Let's head to Django project users and create an URL as we have in our main application. So I create a urls.py here, and if I go back to my main and open these URLs, I actually need all the same, almost the same stuff as I have here, and except that I have only one line here for now. That will be a register, and this will be also register, and the name also will be register. That's it. Yep. And one more thing, this is our users application controller, but now it's not working yet. We need to register the users URL.py file to our main URL.py. So we need to, I'll close this. We go to our Django website. I see here an error, but I don't want to fix it now. And I go to these URLs, and I need to add an additional row here that I have a main URLs. I need to add users URLs. If you're following, it should look very similar. It doesn't matter if this goes above or below, but we can, whenever need, we can change this. And now I think we are at the point where it should work. So let's test our registration and let's see if my server is running. I'll restart it. I'm running it on 7000 port because in the background I'm right now having a different page running locally which uses 8000 port. So yeah, that's cool, I believe, and it should work. Let's go to our page. Let's go to our home page, and if I press sign up, it doesn't work. Okay, let's try to register. Type register. Something wrong that we need to find what is the reason. I don't see any input fields for some reason. So I go back. I see what's wrong. So you see, I'm authenticated. This means that I need to log out from my admin user, but there is another problem. Why it's not giving me any errors if it's not redirecting me to home page because I'm authenticated. Let's look at this later. Now let's try to log out from our page, and I press log out, and we go to our register. Okay, it seems like it's something wrong here. Yeah, template doesn't work for some reason, and this is because I have registration instead of register. That's cool. I save it, and let's go back. Register, and boom, it works, as you can see. And we can try to type our details. For example, I right now have a test user, so I'll write a testing, and well, username will be testing, and here I'll be testing at test.test, and password, well, it's up to me what I'll create. Now I won't tell you this. Okay, and let's try to press sign up. Okay, I as you can see, I typed and trial numeric things, so it will not work. So I need to write something else. Cool, it worked, as you can see, and I'm right now logged in immediately, but still it didn't change here. I'm simply just logged in, and if I type or register, I was immediately redirected to home page, and this is cool. It seems like it's working. And you can see that Django handles password field for us. As you can see, I can't create a very weak password. It shouldn't be similar to other person's information. Must be at least 8 characters in length, not commonly used, and can be entirely numeric. Isn't this cool? It is, definitely it is. After successfully creating an account, let's go to our admin dashboard. So I type an admin again, and you see I'm not authenticated as admin, so I'm logging in as admin. And now we can check the users and testing. Okay, that's cool. As you can see, it appeared as record in our database. And now there is a straightforward way to make this register page look even better. And the answer is Crispy Forms. First, we need to install this package with pip install Django Crispy Forms. So let's go back to our code and let's type up pip install Django Crispy Forms. I'll copy these lines, of course, and I'll move this. To my requirements, not to forget about that. And now we need to install this, register these to settings. So we go to our Django website settings, and we go to our installed applications, and here we add our Crispy Forms, and that's it. And finally, modify our template to a little bit. So let's go to my register, and here is form, and here instead as p, let's use a crispy, and we need to load this stuff. So I need to add here additional line that tells us that we are loading this crispy forms that we already installed. So load crispy forms tags from stacks, if I remember correctly. And yeah, that's all we need to modify. Now let's go back to our website and check this out. Let's log out again, and yeah, that's cool that you notify me about this. And let's go to sign up to register. And now it looks way better. If you remember how it looked before, it was on one line, and now I moved to standard size, and it's way better. There is a way more things that how we can improve the look, but here's the beginning where we should start, and that's cool. It looks way better, and it took us only a few minutes. So at this point I'm satisfied with what our registration page looked like, but more importantly, it functions as it should be, and our registration works. And if you were playing around with the user registration, you noted that we are not informing users if something wrong happens or if it's registers successfully. There's nothing to notify the user when they sign in, and nothing that tells if we did something wrong. So now we have found ourselves where we need something more than a print statement for information, and this is where messages comes into the game, which we'll discuss in the next tutorial, along with some other changes for the user login functionalities. So thank you again for watching. Subscribe and like my channel. I hope you liked what you saw and my guides. So thank you again, and see you in our next tutorial. I'll upload everything to my text-based tutorial and GitHub page. Bye.